Hey everybody, just a quick heads up before this episode gets started. Um, the Cowboy Bebop episode is still on the way. I am editing that as I record this right now. Um, this is the Castle of Cagliostro episode that we recorded for our Patreon. It has been there for a few months at this point. And as we said, all of our Patreon exclusive episodes are going to come to the free feed eventually. That's this happening now for the Castle of Cagliostro episode. If you want earlier access to it, or if you want ad-free access to all of our other episodes, they're all on the Patreon already. It's like $1 a month or something. So yeah, go check it out and enjoy this while you wait patiently for me to finish editing the Cowboy Bebop episode.
Oh, how can this be? The girl believes in the power of the evil sorcerer, yet she doesn't believe in the power of the podcast. Oh, if only she'd believe in it. The pod would be able to cast through the air. For now, this is the best I can do. Was that even close?
Hi, no, yeah, that was. You got the vibe.
Okay, excellent.
Excellent.
Good. Hi, I'm Josh.
And I'm Brogan.
And this is How to Otaku bonus episode. Number one for all of our lovely patrons. And, you know, and other people down the line, I guess.
Fucking freeloader? No. We can cut that out when we release it to the free feed.
No, we'll just leave it in and everybody will be mad. This is the show where we tirelessly try to infiltrate the world of anime and obtain the gems within.
And this is our episode on the Castle of Cagliostro, the only time that Hayao Miyazaki ever just said, fuck it, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
I don't think that's quite true. I think this is the first movie he directed.
Yeah, this is his first feature film. It's pretty cool to see, like, a first feature film, you know, because it shows you, like, whether they had figured themselves out immediately or if they, like, had some figuring out to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And this is definitely, like, I think the one that fits into his filmography, like, the least. You know, you can tell some of the stuff that he would do later, like, and his, like, general sensibility, but this movie is just way more fun than, like, way more actively fun anyway than all of his other movies.
It's still just a Lupin thing, right? Like, at the end of the day, it is Lupin. It is more Lupin than it is Miyazaki, I believe.
Yeah, like, it has most in common with, like, Castle in the Sky, I think, as far as, like, just its energy, but even then, it definitely feels, like, more removed from Miyazaki himself than anything else he's ever done.
So what do you know about Castle of Cagliostro? Or do you want to... Fuck it. Welcome to the podcast, y'all. This is
welcome.
This is a bonus episode, and we're gonna get into it, but we're gonna chat some shit first. Josh, what have you had going on?
Not a lot. Like, I haven't watched any other anime really. Like, I bought a couple Humble Bundles a little bit ago, and so now I own, like, every Guilty Gear game ever made.
You have the Guilty Gear games? Fuck it, we're doing a Guilty Gear stream. I'm gonna school your ass in Guilty Gear. That's what I wanted to talk about.
I'm sure you will, because I don't fucking know how to play fighting games really. Like, I can play Smash, that's about it.
That is the thing that I wanted to get into. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna get my fan going. Hold on. It fell under my desk.
Oh, God damn it.
Oh, fuck. I'm knocking shit over. This is a nightmare. Okay. Here we go. Beautiful. My fan's going. Good. I'm nice and cool. Okay. I got my headphones back on.
Alright, so Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
I tried to, like, go through the tutorial, and I don't know if it's the controller or just me not, like, understanding how to play the game properly, but I couldn't even get through the fucking tutorial, dude. Like,
so, is Guilty Gear your first, like, proper fighting game?
It's the first proper fighting game I've ever purchased. to be
Okay.
honest.
Do you did you start with Strive or did you start with one of the older ones?
I started with Revelator.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh
that not sorry, Strive is the one that's not even out yet. Revelator, yeah, Guilty Gear XR Rev 2, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's the one I have right now installed.
I gotcha. Yeah, that is the most recent, and by all means, that is the most comprehensive tutorial in a fighting game that I think I've ever played, except for maybe Fighter Z. Um,
Hmm.
but Arc System Works is a phenomenal fighting game company, and if you get into it, it's it's one of my favorite fighting games. I think.
I was trying to play with a controller because I figured that would be the most sensible thing to do because like you have all the buttons at your disposal pretty much. But I don't know. I couldn't get like the timing of the directions down,
Yeah.
especially since like especially since the jump is attached to the up button. It's just like it's weird for me personally.
What kind of controller are you using for this?
Just like a regular wired Xbox 360.
Are you using the D-pad or are you using the stick?
I tried both. Neither feels really natural to me right
They
now.
won't. Honestly, a controller is actually one of the worst ways to play fighting games, in my opinion. There are a lot of people who can do it, and they can do it
Hmm.
really well. And I've adapted over the years, but I today I went and I purchased myself a fight stick, my first fight stick.
Oh yeah, that's one of those things that like emulates the arcade
Yeah, it's
thing,
just like
right?
an arcade board, pretty much, and you sit it in your lap or on your desk, and it's got the four buttons on top, four buttons on bottom, and like a fucking arcade stick that goes in explicitly eight directions. And so I
Yeah,
hope
I feel
that
like that's the ideal way to play
yeah,
it.
there are fight sticks that have like buttons for the movement inputs, and a lot of
Hmm.
people really like those because in a lot of cases you'll have back down forward and then like kind of removed from that trinity of buttons there will be like a thumb button for jump, and a lot of
Okay.
people like those, but I think
Mhm.
for the time being I'm gonna stick with the stick, and most arcade sticks that you buy you can customize pretty intensively. You can change out the buttons, you can change out the stick. There's a company that made a kit that lets you replace a stick with a basically like a WASD like keyboard
Oh,
keypad.
that's interesting.
But yeah, if you get into fighting games, and I wouldn't say to like jump in on a stick unless you're sure you want to play fighting games or you think that there are other games that you have that would be helped by it. Like I'm a big fan of the Metal Slug games, and
Hmm.
those are always fun to play on an arcade stick. But I think for me, distinctly, the fact that the buttons are on distinct fingers as opposed to trying to like just hit all the buttons with my thumb, I think that's gonna help me a
Yeah.
lot.
I gotcha. Um, and then like I got the Bandai Namco bundle, which is like it came with like Code Vein and two Tales games and uh fuck me. Like some there's one other game that was really interesting. Anyway, but
I'm looking at it. I think it's Tekken.
yeah, Tekken 7. So, I don't know. We could probably get started with one of those games, once we start doing our streams. But
Og. Ooh, there's an Arxis publisher sale going. I'm sorry. I'm getting lost in the Humble Bundle fucking rabbit hole.
Humble Bundle is fantastic. Like, I don't even know how they get companies to like discount their games so hard,
I
like
don't
in
I
this
don't
way.
either. I know that a lot of the profits from Humble Bundle um go to like charities. So I think that might be
Well,
part of it.
well, actually, like I was surprised, like when I was buying these bundles that like it gives you like a default percentage. Like you can actually like change the amount of money that goes towards like either Humble themselves or to the developers or to the charity. You can control how much of the money goes to each of those. So,
Right.
but by default, it only gives like 5% to the charity, which I think is a little bit um that's a little bit low. I prefer to actually give like most of the money to the charity, so I usually split it like 30. I mean, like
Like
um
50-30. Or not? Yeah, like 50, 30, 20.
No, no, no. I usually split like three ways as close as possible, and if there's any change left over, I give that to the charity.
Ah, I gotcha.
So Humble Bundle is great, I think, but
We're not
you
sponsored
know,
by Humble Bundle, but we could
not
be.
sponsored. We could be.
But
Humble,
yeah,
if you
no,
happen to be, if Humbles happen to listen to our Patreon, that'd be
Jesus
fantastic.
Christ. But no, the reason I got the fight stick is because the new Guilty Gear game, Guilty Gear Strive, is coming out on the 11th, and
Oh,
yeah, so I was like, fuck it. I the best time to get into a new fighting game is when it's new.
yeah,
Because if you get into a new fighting game when it's like 2 or 3 years old, it's gonna be really hard to play against people online.
yeah.
Just because they all know what's going on and you're gonna have to catch up.
Well, how much does the gameplay in particular change between iterations?
From the first few Guilty Gear games are fairly similar in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like evolution of a fighting game. I think the Street Fighter games are the most similar between game to game. They obviously have different like meter systems and shit and different characters.
Mm-hmm.
But the first three Guilty Gear games, which I'm gonna say is Guilty Gear Accent Core, and Guilty Gear Xrd, are
Yeah.
fairly similar to one another, with just massive like improvements going from game to game. They just like
Mm-hmm.
Strive just not Strive. XR just feels way better than the rest of them, and a lot of people still play Accent Core. Not many people play the original Guilty Gear anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
Strive is apparently more of a blend between like the classic Guilty Gear and more of like a Street Fighter style game. Um,
Okay.
it's still got a lot of this is what I've heard like secondhand from people who managed to play the PS5 beta. So like take this with a massive grain of salt cuz
Mm-hmm.
I've not put hands on this game yet, but from what I've heard it changes the formula uh not significantly, but a noticeable amount.
Why would they put the beta on the PS5? That seems like the least sensible thing to do.
Mainly
Like,
to test out the architecture for the online, because
mm-hmm.
this is one of the first games that's coming out with rollback based netcode as opposed to delay based netcode, which is big in fighting game communities because rollback is basically like seen as the future of netcode. It's supposed to provide more of like a seamless
Hmm.
like peer to peer connection, whereas like delay based netcode you have like certain frame delay. It's just I'm not exactly certain the differences, but like people are excited that this one is a rollback based game.
Hmm.
So it was
I
mostly for that, and you can limit the player pool significantly by limiting it to one console, which
I suppose.
especially a console like the PS5, which you know had a lot of issues with getting into people's houses early on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's the funny thing about the PS5. I really want one, even though like there's nothing on it that I'm particularly interested in. I don't know why, but
It's
I
a
think I
really
just
good
want the new
PS4
thing.
emulator.
I mean, I'll probably buy one, or if I can when I move out, but we'll see about that. What else is going on? Have you been watching or playing anything recently?
Um, Shit, man. Other than Guilty Gear today, not really. I got my fucking second COVID shot, so I really been. I mean, shit, man. You said a couple weeks ago that you were looking at one of those Microsoft Surfaces, and I gotta say, but no, I actually do need to get a new laptop because I was in the middle of an exam in my class the other morning, and my fucking laptop just killed itself on question 15.
Oh god damn it.
So yeah, I'm looking at a new MacBook, um, which is it's gonna be rough.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I don't know. You should like maybe take a look at the PC market because like even if you're like really attached to Mac OS, I know there are ways to sideload Mac OS onto PCs. So,
Right, but here's the thing: that new M1 chip,
mm-hmm.
the specs that I'm looking at for a computer, just baseline, I can get the same specs on a MacBook Pro as I can on like literally any other Windows based laptop. with my student pricing, I can get it for the same price, if not cheaper,
Oh,
with that with the
interesting.
new M1 chip thing.
I didn't know that Apple did student pricing.
Yeah, they do. It's like $100 discount or something. So
Oh, that's pretty nice.
I may actually jump on this and do the fucking monthly payments.
Mm-hmm.
That may be a terrible idea, but I do need a laptop sooner than later.
Yeah. Is there anything else we should discuss before we get right into Cagliostro?
I mean, shit, if you're hearing this a month later and Guilty Gear Strive is already out, then you missed out, man. Fucking join the Patreon. This is a Patreon first episode. Patreon heard it first.
I guess.
So let's
All
get
right.
into it.
Let's get into Lupin the Third, the Castle of Cagliostro. Right after this, no, I'm fucking with you.
Jesus Christ. Imagine if we put ad breaks in the fucking Patreon episodes.
What kind of scorn would we receive?
Ridiculous.
I don't even think there is a way to put ads into Patreon episodes. Like we can't monetize them, you know.
I mean, they're already monetized.
Well, yeah, but we can't monetize the ads, is what I'm saying.
True.
So,
So what do you know about Lupin?
um,
I see you've done a little bit of research. What do you know about Lupin?
okay, so I've done a little bit of research, but I haven't like looked into any of the other like Lupin the Third any of this other stuff. But I know that Lupin the Third is loosely based on the fictional thief mastermind Arsène Lupin, who
Arsène Lupin.
Arsène Lupin. I'm not gonna try to pronounce it in
That's the French.
French. But this isn't even the first Lupin anime, or the first one done by Miyazaki for that matter.
Right.
There is a television show that ran for quite a while. I mean, it started in 1971 and basically ended around 1980. So it was a really long running show. Hayao Miyazaki did some episodes of that. I mean, the first Lupin the Third feature film was actually called The Mystery of Mamo, which was released the year before this, 1978. Right. Then this movie, like, interesting enough, was made in less than 8 months. Like, between, they were like, okay, Miyazaki, if you want to make a second movie, come up with an idea, to this movie is in theaters. 8 months, about.
I gotta say, as impressive as this movie looks,
yeah,
you can tell that it was, I don't want to say rushed, but it was a quick turnaround process.
I mean,
there are clips where, I don't know if you caught this, but the one that I noticed was the first time they kind of go into the castle ruins when it's Lupin and Jijin.
Yeah.
And they see like the old man out in the field. You can see like 2 frames where Lupin isn't there, and then he like just kind of appears. Like, he's supposed to be walking around the corner, but then he kind of just like...
Yeah, I think I did notice that.
That was the only, like, major one I noticed. But,
yeah, but...
I mean, it... You know.
Yeah, but even at that, it manages to be, like, really impressive on like, an animation level. It's a very good-looking movie. You know, the character animation is really, really good.
The character animations, the background art, this is just a... This is what Ghibli does best. They just make beautiful movies. There's very little substance, but it is a beautiful movie.
Yeah, it is a very, very good movie. Like, there's not much substance here, I would say. Like, it's not really about much of anything, but it is a fucking cool movie. Like, from start to finish. I think it pushes, like, all of the little buttons that I have, like, for what I want in, like, a fun, like, action movie, you know? It's got, like, you know, it's got a castle, it's got, like, it's got airplanes. I sound like a fucking child, but, like, you know, just, like, all of the little shit that I loved as a kid, like, is in here, you know? Like,
right.
It's basically an Indiana Jones movie, but, like, made in Japan 2 years before Indiana Jones actually came out.
Right. It gives me a lot of Indiana Jones vibes. It also gives me a lot of like James Bond vibes.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I believe like one of the producers described it as like James Bond if he was like broke, you know, and a thief.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like his his car is always fucking like beat up. You know, it only gets more beat up over time.
Right. It's a shitty little clunker in the beginning, and then it's a beat to hell shitty little clunker at the end.
Yeah. Um.
But he's got all these fucking neat little gadgets, and he's always got like
Oh my
an
god.
answer, or he just MacGyvers some shit sometimes. He just like
The grappling hook with like the tiny little crank in his belt.
yeah no
I genuinely laughed
it's
out loud when I saw that.
yeah no it's cute. I also really enjoy the fucking concept that he never actually used it. We'll actually get to this later. But just the little gadgets he uses are fun.
Hmm. Yeah, like one point he pulls out like a rocket in his jacket.
Yeah, that's
pocket
what I was
and,
gonna talk about. And then he can't. He just his lighter's fucking busted, so he just can't light it.
Yeah, but I just think about like, I mean, like either he's like a really good planner or he just keeps a rocket in his pocket for for whatever.
Josh pocket rocket.
I'm sorry. This movie's just so fun. Like it's hard to describe, in words. Just like apart from talking about all the cool things that happen, you know.
Right. And that's what it is. It's just a fun movie. It's not like very substantive. There's like this one scene where Zenigata is well let's introduce the characters, because I think that is the strength of Lupin. Is the characters more than anything else. Well, the characters and the set pieces, but you don't have the set pieces without the characters.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about these characters is that apparently they're very softened from like what the television show was, and then even from what the manga was. That's apparently like a big thing within the Lupin community, is that like there's just like a lot of people who are like, this would be like a really good Miyazaki movie if you did put Lupin's name in it, but they have such an attachment to like the way the characters originally are that, say like these softened, more heroic versions of these I guess these people who are a little bit more like apathetically criminal in the source material. I guess that's just like a big hang up for them,
That's one of the big things about Lupin. Like the people who are Lupin fans because of Lupin have those hang-ups about it, but most people, this is myself included, this is the only Lupin content that most people who know about it have consumed. And I think it's more because it is a Miyazaki movie and everybody places such a high ticket on that name. Which I feel kind of bad about, because I do like this, and I know that there is better Lupin content out there. I've just never like seeked it out.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see, like, I don't know what the availability is for any of the other Lupin movies, but maybe we could cover those at some point, or one of those.
As far as I can tell, they're kind of hard to find. Like, this is the only one on Netflix.
Yeah, that's probably the thing that this movie has really going for it, is just that it's available on Netflix, and that it's from such a critically acclaimed director that, it's kind of hard to turn up the opportunity to see it,
Right.
Speaking of Netflix, one thing that I did not know going in is that apparently the dub the dub that's on Netflix is apparently not good. Like, I didn't really notice, like, anything off about it when I was watching it. Like, it seemed like the writing wasn't particularly great, but like I didn't have any hang-ups about like, things not making sense or, characters being inconsistent. So I didn't really notice it. But apparently like the 2000s dub is much better, and then even like the sub version is better. So I don't know about that. But you watched the sub, right?
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Josh watched the dub and I watched the sub, and we didn't really plan this out. One way or the other, but there before the podcast started recording, we had a couple discussions, and it was like there were character moments that were in the subbed version, at least the sub version, that weren't in the dub that Josh watched. So like the line from the beginning that I feel like is like the quintessential moment of character, I don't want to say character building, but of like showing who Lupin is from this film, is the scene in the tower where he's talking to the oh
Clarice.
man, what's her name? Clarice, yeah. He's
Yeah.
talking to Clarice, and he says the same thing that we said from the intro, where oh, how can this be? The girl believes in the power of the evil sorcerer, but she doesn't believe in the power of the thief. And he just has like a real heart to heart moment with her, and like really opens up and like tries to cheer her up in a real sentimental way to let her know that everything's gonna be okay. And Josh, how did that scene go in the Netflix dub?
The Netflix dub, like, I think the dialogue kind of serves the same purpose. Like, it's definitely a moment where, like, he's trying to get her out of this situation, and she just doesn't have the courage to think that this will work. And he's just like, but like in this version, it's more about how like he talks about like how she doesn't believe in him and how he can't help her if she doesn't believe in him, and it's a little bit different in the writing. I think between the two they kind of communicate the same general idea, but yeah, it's definitely a little bit like demystified, or at least like a little bit less poetic in the dub.
Right.
Which
Which, I mean, I guess things have to change when you. No, fuck that. You could have just read the script of the sub. There were some things in the script of the sub that are like not great, just from a writing standpoint, not from like a they've aged poorly thing, but they're
yeah.
just like, a little lazy. But you don't have to change it to the point where like the same message is technically conveyed, but you lose the character
hmm
within the way that the message is conveyed.
Well, I think that's what's still conveyed, like, is like the kind of like his kind of like theatricality about it. Like he's
Right, because you still have the animation. You still have like
yeah,
the
you still have the animation. Like I'm not saying that that's like on the dub or on the sub, but like it still kind of communicates stuff about his character. I think just it's a little bit different in the dub versus the sub. Um,
right.
and we probably should have communicated better just to like figure out what version we're watching, but
I generally like watching the sub of things unless it's something that explicitly has a very good dub.
mm. I
Um,
generally find the dub to just be like an easier entry point for me personally.
which is fair. That's how it is for a lot of people.
And that's not because like I have a problem with reading movies. Like I generally don't like to have the subtitles on unless the movie's in a language I don't know. But like generally speaking, like if I have to choose between like being able to hear the words that people are saying and then watch what people are doing versus like trying to have my eyes do both, then I want to choose the former over the latter personally.
Which is fair enough. In my opinion, the dubs are always a valid option
hmm
because at the end of the day, the creator of the like art that you're watching wasn't thinking, "Oh, do I want people to listen to the Japanese voices or do I want them to listen to the English or Spanish or German or whatever voices?" They're not thinking that. They're just thinking, "I want people to watch this and understand it and have a good time and enjoy the art that I'm creating."
Yeah.
So in that standpoint, I think that all dubs are valid, but there are some cases where I prefer the sub to the dub, especially in terms of like artistic intent,
hmm
because there are some cases where like the Netflix adaptation of Cagliostro, where they just change a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't like.
Yeah.
But like then there are things like Fooly Cooley, which stay tuned to the free feed. That's the next episode, y'all. Um, there's Fully Cooley and there's Cowboy Bebop and there's all that kind of shit that are like praised for how good the dub is. And in those cases, I typically watch the dub.
Yeah. I think like okay, so a bit of a side tangent here. I think that one anime we could watch that would be kind of interesting is apparently there is a version of Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, his second, I mean Hayao Miyazaki's second feature film, that was like murdered in the dub, like just absolutely destroyed. And it's like half an hour was cut out of the movie, and all of the dialogue is changed, and I think that would be a very interesting thing to watch. I believe the only way you can get it is
So
through
like
like a
you're
rip,
willing
but
to watch the dub and you want me to watch like the original sub cut and then see how that's different, or do you think we should watch both? Like what's the pitch here?
I don't know. I don't know. I just came up with this off the cuff, but I don't
I
know.
mean, shit, if you're listening to this episode and you've got an opinion and you think that would be fun, let us know.
All right. So anyway, with that out of the way, I think that like again, like this is just a really fun movie. I don't honestly know what to say apart from the fact that it is like fun, you know?
Right. I mean, because there, other than the one scene where Zangetsu is, or sorry, Zenigata is like standing in front of the Interpol board, and he's like, "Guys, we gotta shut this shit down." And every fucking figurehead from every country on the planet is like, "Well, I mean, shit, they're helping us out," because like
Yeah.
there's like a really like subtle hint about like Cold War era shit where it's the Russians and the States saying, "Well, you bought a bunch of fucking rubles from those guys, and well, you bought a fucking $1 billion worth of U.S. currency from those guys." So like, I mean, everybody's got their hands in the pockets of these of the like money laundering scheme. That, hey guys, we're almost 40 minutes in. The plot of this movie is that Lupin and Jijin are trying to like get to the bottom of what's going on with the counterfeit money that they stole from a casino at the beginning of the movie, and they get led back to the what it's not like a full country, but it's
I
like
believe
a
it is a
little
country.
nation state.
Like they
It is. That's what they say in the dub.
Yeah.
In the sub, they're very specific about it not being like a full actual standalone country.
That's kind of interesting. Like in the dub they do say like it's a country of like 3,500. It's like the smallest country in the smallest country on the planet. Like they make that very specifically clear, but they do like explicitly state it as a country, which I think actually just makes more sense. Like I don't know how a country of 3,500 would exist, but the Vatican exists and is kind of a country. So
it's a, well, what they call it is the Principality of Cagliostro.
Okay.
Because the like the lore backstory of it is that they're like this one family line, or maybe it's two family lines. I don't know how that works without a whole lot of inbreeding, but there's like a family lineage of the Cagliostros who are like the like royal family of this territory, and they've got this castle, and the castle has a hidden treasure about it, but is also being used as a front to produce ridiculous amounts of the most passing counterfeit currency on the planet for literally every kind of currency that exists.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the plot. I'm sorry to bring y'all into that 40 minutes in, but that's the plot of this movie.
Yeah, this movie moves really fast, I think. Like, it doesn't waste any time, I don't think. Like, maybe you could have cut out the Interpol scene, but even then, like, I think that serves enough purpose.
I think the Interpol scene is important because it slows it down enough to give us a little bit more context.
Yeah.
There was a point, and this is like the third or fourth time I've watched this movie, so take this with a grain of salt, but there was a point where I was like, okay. I was like 20 minutes from the end, I was like, okay, come on. We gotta be close to done soon.
I don't know, like, I just love, like, I love the setting of this place. Like,
It's so pretty.
This castle is really cool, and, like, I just love, like, castles with, like, dungeons and shit, and towers, and, I don't know, castles are just cool. Like,
big Castlevania vibes from the fucking clock tower scene.
oh my god, the clock tower scene. Like, every movie should end in a clock tower, I think. Like,
every movie should end in a clock tower.
Every movie.
Have you seen you've seen In Bruges, right?
Yeah, I've seen In Bruges. Yes.
Oh my god. What a phenomenal movie that has just a really good but really disconnected fifth act.
Yeah. Yeah, but like the end of this movie most reminds me of is like there's a Disney animated film from like 1986 called The Great Mouse Detective. It's like a Sherlock Holmes story where like, and that ends in the clock tower, and like it kind of has a very similar, like they're all like going across the cogs and they're like fighting, and you know I think that's fun when a film uses its setting really well, like especially in action scenes.
Exactly. And that's really, aside from like the characters, that's the strength of this movie.
Hmm.
The characters in this movie are really the reason a lot of people watch these films.
Hmm.
You've got, I mean, you've got Lupin, who's a very charming, very debonair kind of like gentleman thief.
Yeah.
Um, but he's also like a fucking goof off, and he's just he's very calm and kick backed and relaxed,
Hmm.
but he always gets shit done. And then you've got his friend Jijin, and Jijin is like, I don't want to say he's the muscle, but he's definitely like the threatening presence. He's a chill dude,
Yeah.
but he's very like gruff and does a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah, there's that scene where he knows that Lupin's hiding some information from him about like his connection with the Cagliostros, and like he just puts him in a headlock and forces him to like spill the beans about it.
Yeah, that scene is really good. I also like the scene where the fucking tire blows out,
Yeah.
and they just kind of dead eye one another,
Yeah.
and then they pop out of the sunroof and play
Rock paper scissors.
rock paper scissors.
Yeah, it seems like a real like a kind of partnership that's been going on for a while, and like like they might not always get along, but like they've still got more connection than any little thing can get between them. Like it just feels
Right.
like a long-standing kind of partnership. One thing that I found that was kind of subtle in the animation is that Lupin's always smoking like a full cigarette, like a brand new cigarette, and
Right, and Jijin always has kind of like a half burnt out stub.
yes, my first thought was like, is he smoking Lupin's butt? Like when Lupin's done with his cigarette, he puts it in the ashtray and then Jijin takes it and starts smoking that. Is that the idea, or is it just a coincidence?
I think more the thing is that Jijin just goes through him a lot harder than
Mm.
Lupin, because Lupin he's a lot more clean cut. I mean, because like Jijin has that fucking gruff, nasty beard. There's that one scene where he kind of like spits out the cigarette while he's holding the rifle, and it kind of lands on his beard, and it just sits there. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, come on, man,
Hmm.
clean yourself up. You're gonna catch on fire.
Yeah. So there's him, and then there's the fucking ninja dude. Fuck, what's his name? Shit.
He is a samurai. His name is Goemon.
Goemon. That's right. Like he doesn't.
I'm
get
not
a
sure
lot,
if samurai is exactly the right word.
I don't know. He's just like a dude with a sword.
The three other like characters that are in every Lupin, and not every, there may be some where they aren't, but the three other characters other than Lupin and Jijin are Goemon, Fuji, is it Fujikaba? He calls her in the sub, he calls her Fuji Cakes a lot.
Fujiko.
Fujiko.
Yeah.
And Fujiko and Zenigata.
Yeah, Zenigata.
And so like that core party of Lupin the thief, Jijin the muscle, Goemon the cold calculated samurai, and fucking Fujiko the girl boss are always squared off against Zenigata.
Yeah.
It's very cat and mouse in a lot of it,
Mhm.
and you can really feel it in this movie. I think particularly that Zenigata and Lupin have a distinct history.
Yeah, that's like definitely the thing that I noticed when they like first kind of like have their own like scene where they start interacting with one another in that fucking dungeon, is that like they definitely have like a lot of history together. And like I didn't know that this was like a long running television series before this, so I just kind of presumed that it was them like writing it in a way where you could definitely tell they had like history together, and it was just kind of alluding to like things that happened before. But no, I
Right.
guess
As a standalone movie, this really does a good job at selling, I think, specifically Lupin and Zenigata. I'm not sure it sells Lupin and Jijin or
yeah,
I mean fuck. Goemon is there in like 4 scenes and he's like, I'm so cool. And he is cool, but you don't get a lot of Goemon
yeah,
out of this.
yeah,
And you only get any significant amount of Fujiko at the very end.
yeah. Like if they're, I mean, I definitely think they could have utilized Jijin and Goemon a little more because it seemed like they were like really interesting characters, but it seemed maybe like they basically just sit in that tower most of like the second act of the movie, which is really disappointing to me because I would have hoped that they would use them a little bit more. But
Right.
they come in a third act and do some cool stuff, so it's not that difficult. And I like Lupin and Zenigata's like their kind of repertoire, which is great because like that basically like the crux of the second act is with them, you know. Like there's the first.
Right. You can tell that there's like a not distasteful, but a very reluctant mutual respect between the two of them.
Mhm. Yeah, and then they're in this like shitty situation together, and basically like I just love it whenever like two people who are at odds have to work together. You know, that's always just a fun dynamic that I really love. You know,
Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot of stuff in here where, like in Full Metal Alchemist, there was always some sort of underlying, like,
idea.
political or moral message. In this, you've just got a lot of action set pieces.
Hmm.
And so, like, you've got the scene at the very beginning, which kicks it off, where they, like, bust out of the casino, and then very quick, there's, like, the opening credit sequence, and then you see the like the car chase
Yeah.
with Clarice and the fucking mafioso goons. and and Lupin drives the car
Up a
up
cliff.
the side of the mountain. he like we're gonna cut these fellers off at the pass, and then he cuts the wheel into, they're like on a cliffside, so it's like a cliffside chase.
Yeah.
And Lupin cuts the wheel towards the mountain and just goes up the wall
Yeah, and then just
onto a plateau.
and like I just think it's fun. Like that shit's
It's
the
just
stuff
fun.
that I love. You know, like whenever it like breaks physics just a little bit to like make it a little more fun and exciting. Like it doesn't break it so hard that like I suddenly just disconnect and don't care anymore. But like yeah, like driving it up a cliff is like probably the craziest thing that happens in this movie as far as like just physics go. You know, it's fun that they
Mhm.
started off with just like a crazy set piece that's really fun. And then like they're driving these cars and the cars get like as the cars get beat up, they get like progressively more like um destroyed until the point where like Lupin and Clarice are just in like this car that's falling apart at the seams and they can't really get it to not go off the cliff.
Right.
I love that, man. I love that moment where like like you think that it's not going to go off the cliff, and then like it just slips that little bit, and they're falling.
Right. And then he busts out. That's the first time you see the little grappling hook that's like comes out
Uh-huh.
of his watch, and then it's attached to his little belt crank.
I love like all the little shit he has in his pockets. Like you know, he's got that. He's got like he does like the weird magic trick where he pulls out the flower, and then like there's the little like flags that come out on the string.
That's the scene that sells to me that like this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like beyond anything else, when he pulls that little magic trick, it's like, yeah, man, this guy can take care of this shit.
Yeah, and he's got like 2 or 3 like counterfeit rings that are just like, you know, there to fool somebody. You know, like he's just prepared.
Right, like you see him fucking around in that little room
Uh huh.
when they get like set upon by the. Can we talk about these guys for a minute?
Oh
These-
my
the
God.
fucking like long arm goons. Where there's that one scene where they're in the tower and then they just kind of slide into position like in 2 semicircles.
Yeah, it's just like a fun little idea. Like these dudes who are just like gorilla crawling across the ground, and somehow they make it work.
Right, they're threatening looking.
Yeah.
There's some real weird imagery with those guys in like one of the last scenes where like the wedding, is about to go on between the Count and Clarissa,
Mm-hmm.
or Clarice, and the gang is trying to stop that from happening, and like they're live televising this event where these people in basically black clan robes are walking around like performing a cult exercise.
Yeah.
It's like does nobody else recognize that this is explicitly evil?
Yeah, like anybody in that room would be looking at everything as like, this looks like very bad. You know, like what the
Like where's the suspension of disbelief line for like a royal like if the British royal wedding
looked like
10
this?
years from now looked like this, would everybody just kind of accept it? Or like if it always looked like this, would everybody just kind of accept it? Or like what?
What the fuck is that mask that the Count is wearing in that scene? Like, I understand the rest of his getup is like, you know, like kind of like a royal soldier's uniform or whatever, and he's got like the cape, and that's cool. But like, he's got like this fucking helmet with like a goat's head on it or something. It's ridiculous.
The goat head is like the imagery from the family crest.
Yeah, it's like a family crest symbol. You know, I understand like why it's there, but like, it looks fucking ridiculous. Like.
It is evil.
Okay, so I want to ask, like, where do you think Cagliostro is, like geographically? Because, like, I know it's in Europe somewhere,
that's the
but,
thing.
like, and at one point,
Wait,
like,
you know it's in where somewhere?
huh? Like,
It's in where?
like, it must be somewhere in, like, southern Europe, because, like, there's like
Right, because
there's a
at the
port-
end there's the fucking...
There's the port at the very end. And they're talking about like a Roman city, so like it must be somewhere near Rome. And then earlier they're like eating spaghetti at a restaurant, so it must be kind of near Italy, I would presume. So
To be fair, the Roman... do you know how much land space the Holy Roman Empire covered?
I'm, I was always
Like,
awful
look up
with
a
history.
Google Maps of this shit. Look up a Google Maps of this shit real
Hang
quick.
on.
The Holy Roman Empire was like 90% of Europe or some fucking shit.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, so like anywhere in Europe would have worked
Right.
pretty much.
yeah. So it could have been up towards the Baltic Sea. It could have been up towards the North Sea. I get the feeling that it's more down towards the Adriatic Sea. I don't know why. I just feel like it's more... I don't know. It definitely feels like Italy adjacent. So I feel like it is definitely more towards the southern regions.
Yeah. Like I don't know, like history and geography have never been my strong suits, so like you know, I I didn't know the Roman Empire was this big. Like I knew they were big,
Right,
but
back then, we've got France, England, Poland, the Ottoman Empire, the Papal States, Spain, and the Holy Roman Empire. Those were the only countries on the, like, centralized landmass of Europe.
fantastic. Fun history lessons, I guess. You know, now I know that Rome was really big.
That's why everybody says, like, that's why everybody talks about Rome still. They're always like, that's the reason that everybody's like, oh well, Rome wasn't built in a day. Like
Yeah.
that's why they say that.
Okay, so like, yeah, it is like the creepiest wedding ever, and then like her Clarice is like drugged during the wedding, so she doesn't even have the ability to say yes or no, but they take silence as a yes, which is like,
Which is wild because, like, okay, hold on. How does Lupin? Because they reveal that Lupin was the cleric who
Yeah.
is presiding over the ceremony. How does he know this shit? I can't question it because Lupin just knows everything. But like, how does he know this shit, and why does he play along with it for so long to just be like, yeah, silence is a valid option. Just so everybody knows, silence does not equal consent in any way, shape, or form. Just in case you needed to be told that.
well, I guess while we're on the topic of consent, there's this other little thing I need to ask about, which is like, How old is Clarice? They
Yeah.
clarify this in the dub, actually. Like, they say that, like, she was 9 years old in the flashback, and that was 10 years before the events of the movie, so logically she's
Yeah, so
19
she's
in
19.
the events of the film.
But Lupin's
But,
probably about like 27 or so.
yeah, definitely a substantial age gap there. Uh, I mean, it's better than, I guess, the Count, who I presume is in his, like, mid-30s at best.
Okay. Uh it says okay on the wiki, on the Lupin official wiki, Clarice de Cagliostro is 18.
Hmm.
I'm trying to figure out how old Lupin is. Lupin.
Hmm.
A lot of people get pissy if you don't say Lupin.
Um, I gotta use the restroom. I'll be back in 1 moment.
Okay, have fun.
I'll do my best.
Don't fall in. Guys, I'm not editing this episode, so I don't know if this will get passed. But Josh has been holding me ransom for the past several months. I'm being forced to do this. Please call the police. This is I'm being held against my will. I've been in his basement. I haven't been going to class. My family doesn't know where I am. Please, for the love of God, help. Please and thank you. He'll if I am not.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back, Josh. I did a little research and I couldn't figure out how old Lupin was, but I did figure out that the original English dub of Castle of Cagliostro, uh, Lupin was voiced by David Hayter, who is Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid. So
Are you sure about that? Like, I think that's the
I'm
new
positive.
dub.
I'm looking at it right now.
The new dub from Manga Entertainment from 2000 was David Hayter, but
Yeah,
the Streamline Pictures dub, which is I believe the one that's on Netflix, is done by Bob Bergen.
that's what I'm saying. The 2000 dub was David Hayter.
Yeah, but that wasn't the one that I heard. So
No, I know that's not the one that you heard, which is
okay,
disappointing because I fucking love David Hayter. David Hayter, I'm not going into it.
I wonder what he
David
sounds
Hayter,
like.
if you hear this, David Hayter?
Well, like I've never played like any of the. Actually, I played Metal Gear Solid 5. Is he Snake in that one
He is
too?
not Snake in Metal Gear Solid 5. There was a lot of that's part of the Konami bullshit about Metal Gear Solid 5.
Hmm. Okay. So, but yeah, I guess I don't know what he sounds like really. So,
Hey David Hayter, if you ever if this ever comes across your timeline in a meaningful fashion, I would die happy if I ever got to speak to you. So yeah, uh, anybody who has any significant power to signal boost this, please get me in touch with David Hayter. Ooh,
all right.
that's
So,
that's enough of my fangirling about David Hayter.
hmm. So can we talk about like how many like fucking hobbies like Lupin must have? Cause like,
No, yeah, we can.
cause like he can like jerry rig literally anything into existence. Like he makes like these he makes those counterfeit rings with like the speakers in them, and apparently the speakers are good enough that like people can hear them. Which like I don't know how you do that until
Right,
you get to
with
like
wireless transmitters in the fucking 70s out of just like whatever he has in that little beat up car.
yeah, like he must have had like fucking AirPods level technology in order to do that. And even then it would have to be loud enough that like people could hear it without without their ear being next to it. So it had to be even better than that, I suppose. Like
He's just a giga genius, man.
he builds a robot dummy at the end. Like
That's what he does.
he's a
Oh
magician.
my god.
Like he does magic tricks. He's got you remember the part when he was like puppeteering the
The
like the dead body,
skeleton?
yeah,
Yeah.
skeletons. He's a puppeteer too. He's an impressionist. He does an impression of Zenigata that's apparently so good it fools like a troop of guards.
Here's a question I've always had. Why why do skeletons always still have hair on them? I'm pretty sure that's not how it works.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not how it works either, but it looks neat.
Gives them some character.
Yeah, man, like Lupin should get like a real job or something. Like I feel he should at least try. He's got so many
I
fucking
think
talents, dude. Like
Here's the thing: he's got a rap sheet longer than my dick at this point.
That's probably true. So,
Which I mean, to be fair, technically isn't very impressive, but in the content in the concept of making a joke about how long one's penis is, you insinuate that it is quite lengthy. So cut that out. That was dumb.
no, I'm leaving that in. You said
Fuck.
it.
Come on, bro. Come on, man.
Man, I feel like we're jumping all over the place. Like, is there any
We are, because there isn't anything like really.
like? There's not much that's substantive about the movie. It's just like a really, really good action movie.
To be fair, we got off track really quick about this shit.
We did. We did.
Well, welcome to How to Otaku After Dark.
um, I don't know. Are there like any real standout moments to you? Like, just parts that are awesome that you want to talk about?
The one thing that really stuck out to me like a sore thumb
Mhm.
was the scene where he had that rocket on the roof.
Oh my god.
And I couldn't help but notice the similarities between Lupin running down the roof and oh god, what's her name? Chichiro or Chihiro
Chihiro.
from
Yeah. Spirited Away.
from yeah, from Spirited Away when she's running down the stairs.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like Miyazaki's known for like, just like giving every character a really distinct run. Like there's some like supercut on YouTube where it's just like every Miyazaki character like and their like super unique run. Yeah, that's
I mean,
definitely like a standout moment, just like him like, losing control and like going like faster and faster and faster down that hill and like still somehow making it across the gap to the tower.
honestly, the way it's portrayed, I know it's completely physically
Impossible.
like in terms of physics completely impossible that it would happen, but it's not just like cartoon logic. It really sells that he picks up enough speed to make that jump, and that is
Yeah.
really impressive to me.
Hmm. Yeah, like apparently he's also like a really good like wall climber. Like he just climbed literally any fucking wall, I guess.
He's a giga genius, man. I like.
That's why you play that Assassin's Creed.
What about you? What's your standout moment for Lupin the Third?
Oh jeez. Of course I ask a question and then like you have
And
a
don't have an answer to
you
it.
have you have it you have like a snap answer and then I'm like, oh fuck me. Like
God damn it, Josh!
I don't know. I'd have to say it is the clock tower just cuz like it's such a unique setting that like
Can we talk about how the fucking hands on the clock tower snap that man in half?
oh my god, it's crazy. Like
Like there are three deaths in this movie, and
uh-huh.
it's Fujiko shoots a man who pops in a doorway. One dude gets crushed in a gear,
Yeah.
and they like cut away from it. He's like, "Don't look," and then they cut away from it. You kind of see
Mhm.
his like you hear like the crunch, and his shoe falls off, and the guy's like, "Oh fuck, that's horrible."
Yeah.
And then you see, and then just like there's a really far away shot, but like you distinctly see the count just get snapped in half by these
Yeah.
big stone clock hands.
Okay, so like let's dissect like what the whole like treasure is. So like basically there are these two rings. They're each given to like one half of this family. So like if they marry, they have both. And then you put them in the eyes of the 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 thing in the clock tower, and then it snaps whoever does that in half, and then it just blows the water out of this dam and like
I don't
unlocks
think
it.
it's supposed to snap him in half. I think it's just a matter of that guy got his comeuppance.
I don't know.
I'm
It
pretty
seems
sure you're supposed to take a ladder up there or some shit, you know?
it seems like intentional design though. Like that seems like how it was intended to be. You know? Like I don't know. Like that seems like it wasn't like an accident, like a freak accident or anything. It seems like that the machine was intentionally designed so that like the place where you have to put the eyes is like positioned so that you can't get out of this situation and the hands will come between you and crush you.
I mean, shit, those Romans, man, they had some funky ideas of a good time.
But like, was that clock tower built by the Romans or was it built by the Cagliostros?
Shit, you're right.
Like,
But to be, oh man,
like what's the
oh
timeline of
man,
how this thing was built? Like I don't need a
that's
ton of
a
answers because none of these adventure movies where like there's a big treasure at the end ever makes sense. Like even Indiana Jones, which is like the pinnacle of it, like you try to break like down like all the layers of like clues and shit, and it doesn't really make sense. But I'm just poking holes here for fun.
hey, I gotta ask you about these fucking notes you've got here. We have we have silence equals yes. Oh no, okay, that's from the wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
We have okay, here's one. Katanas have a Moe's rating of 32 lol. What's that about?
That's just about like how katanas can literally cut through anything in anime. Like this is something that I noticed in like Demon Slayer, but like it's here too, I guess, where like if you get the katana, I mean like if you have a person with a katana and their like technique is perfect or whatever, they can cut through literally anything. Like they can
Yeah.
cut through like a fucking pillar in one slice. They could do like literally anything. Like they're like they even do like the meme in this where like the dude like takes out the I mean like uses his sword so fast that like you don't even get to see it. Like it cuts off all of Lupin's clothes.
Right, like he takes it out. Lupin's on fire, and
Yeah.
he like takes his sword out, but he just draws it, and then you see
Yeah.
like slash lines in the air,
Uh-huh.
and then all of a sudden Lupin is just in his like he's in a
Underwear.
wife beater and blue striped boxers.
Yeah. And he's like, you should have
It's
worn
like
an asbestos suit. Like,
no, in the sub he says, another unwarranted use of my blade or some shit like that.
I don't know. I think I like the dub line better, personally. Like, the
You
asbestos
should have
suit thing
worn an
works better.
asbestos suit.
Yeah, because he's on fire,
Oh, based.
based. Um, shoot. I bet this episode's gonna be fun for me to edit. Like,
I left a little secret for you when you went to the bathroom.
oh shit. Don't tell me it's you, like, doing a big fart or something.
No, it's not me doing a big fart. It's me telling everybody about your secret.
My secret? I have a secret?
Yeah, your secret. You have a secret, and every it's been divulged.
Oh no. Oh no. Shit, man. Not my secret.
I
Um,
mean, shit, y'all. I think that's Lupin.
yeah, I think that's Lupin the Third. Like it's a fun movie. There's not a ton to talk about in it, but like I would recommend it. It's
Oh
it
yeah,
like it definitely is one of like the progenitors of like like I wouldn't say this like invented like the mysterious treasure adventure film, but like it definitely helped popularize it to an extent. Like
yeah. I mean, like if you guys are like, oh well, I can watch Indiana Jones again tonight, or
National
shit,
Treasure or
pop this
anything like
on.
that.
Yeah, pop this on.
Yeah, it's certainly better than any National Treasure movie, I would say. Not
Oh
that those are bad,
wow.
but you know, I don't know. I give it like an 8 out of 10. What about you?
Um, honestly, I'd probably give it a 6 or 7.
Oh.
Usually, I like things that have more to think about
Mm-hmm.
because I find myself drifting a lot when it's just set piece after set piece after set piece.
Yeah.
Um, but I did enjoy it. I thought it was very pretty, and I would recommend it to people. So I'd probably give it a 7.
Yeah, like I generally agree with that unless like the set pieces are just so like perfectly executed the way they are here, I think. Like I think a
Fair
set
enough.
piece unto itself can be like valuable entertainment and like it doesn't have to be about much if it just like if it does a really good job entertaining you, that's my
I
opinion.
mean, shit. That's why I play Resident Evil 6. But like,
By the way, I beat
you know,
Resident Evil 8. It's very fun.
yeah. Did you do that on stream?
No, I didn't. I didn't stream it again just cuz like I actually beat it
So
like
you
you know,
You ran around in the baby room for 2 hours and then beat the game off stream, Josh.
yeah, like, oh my god, the baby room is
SMH.
awful. There's nothing I hate more than the baby room in Resident Evil 8. Like,
Fuck the baby room.
fuck
All
your
my
baby.
homies hate the baby room.
I mean, it wasn't particularly hard. The problem is just like, like the dread of turning any corner in that game. Like, and the game takes away everything that you have. So like, if you fuck up once, you have to start from wherever your last save point was. So,
True. Can we talk about the fact that those two people are the worst parents on the planet because they just, I mean, like, how old is that baby? 6 months old? They got pillows and shit in the crib with the baby. The baby can suffocate on that shit. You're not supposed to do that.
yeah, well, you can do whatever you want in Romania,
Do
Parenting
they
is
live in
different.
Romania?
Yeah, that's like the whole thing. It's like, because they were because of all the shit that happened in like Louisiana or whatever, they have to like move to Romania to get away from
They
it
just
all.
fucked off to Romania?
Yeah, and then like
Move to Wisconsin. Move to Washington State. You don't have to go to Romania to get away from Louisiana.
I suppose not, but I don't know. They just do it because like they wanted to have like a cool foreign village. Anyway, it's a bit contrived, but I like the game still. I'll probably play it again.
I've heard a lot of good things about 8. I've heard it's
It's very Resident Evil 4, you know.
that's what I've heard. I've heard it's not quite as good as 4, but I also think that there's a lot of like bullshit like the Resident Evil 4 is the best game ever made.
yeah, which like I would give it a 7 out of 10. Like, as far as like my opinion is
Probably
concerned.
give it an 8 or so, but
Yeah.
I mean like it's a good game.
It's a good
It's just
game,
like come the
but
fuck on, y'all.
yeah.
Grow past your nostalgia.
I don't know. I want to play Resident Evil 4, but with like the chainsaw controller. You know about
Oh
this,
my
right?
god. I know about the chainsaw controller.
I want the chainsaw controller. I don't know why. Do you think that Guilty Gear plays well on the chainsaw controller?
Certainly not.
Okay, so before we leave, we should probably talk about what we might do for the next episode, the next movie episode. I don't know. What do you think our options should be? Should we like basically take the 3 we didn't do and then put another fourth one in, or should we like try a new pool of movies?
What are the 3 that we didn't do?
Okay, so we didn't do Interstellar 5555, we didn't do A Whisker Away, and we didn't do Night is Short, Walk on Girl. Those are the 3 we didn't do.
If we yeah, sure. We can put those back in the pool
Mm-hmm.
and I would like to pitch Promare
Premiere? Oh, I've seen that one. That one's pretty cool.
or I think I would like to pitch Promare, Ghost in the Shell, or Akira.
Yeah. I don't know. Is Ghost in the Shell streaming right now on anything?
I don't know. Shit, or Redline.
Oh, I've heard of Redline.
Redline is fucking sick.
Okay, so Ghost in the Shell is apparently on the Roku channel, Tubi TV, and Vudu Free. So
I'm pretty sure Voodoo and Tubi are both things that everyone can access for free.
yeah.
I think they might have ads,
Yeah.
but I don't think they require a subscription.
Hmm. Or we could pay like $4 and watch the one with Scarlett Johansson.
No. No.
All right, so is that our list? Are we doing already choosing Whisker Away, Ghost in the Shell, Night is Short, and Interstellar? Those are our 4?
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds
All
good.
right. So those are our 4. For all of our patrons out there,
As soon as this episode goes live, we'll post a poll.
yeah.
And whoever gets the most votes on that poll will watch that movie for the next movie episode, which will be, if we get any subs on the Patreon, I think we can do another one next, like not next week, because next week's the free feed episode. Like if we don't have any subs, no movie episode until we have subs. If we do have subs, then the next one will be whichever one has the most votes. Or if there are
Yes.
no votes, then we'll just pick.
Hmm. Yeah, and that episode will be out on July 2nd. So,
All things tentative based on response to the poll.
yes, of course. All right. Well, that's it for us today. If you want to follow this show, you can go to How to Otaku Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at JD Thorne Film, or on Letterboxd at JD Thorne. What about you, buddy?
I'm on Twitter and Twitch at Brogan Live or Brogan underscore live. You can find it. It's not too hard. If it's not Brogan underscore live, then it's Brogan Live. You can find it. It's pretty easy. If you like Brogan, you'll love Brogan Live. Yeah.
How did you come up with that name, by the way? I'm just curious. Like, how did that come to be?
Josh, I'm pretty sure you know.
Such an iconic name. How did you come up with it?
I'm pretty sure you know.
No, please, like, inform me. How did?
People of culture will understand. I'll say that.
Wow, I'm hurt. Okay, well, that's the end of the episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting our Patreon, and
Yeah.
we'll see you next time. Our Fully Cooley episode is on June 11th, and then we'll be doing Berserk. So, got that to look forward to. Anyways, peace out.
See ya, Space Cowboy.